Anthony Gordon from.
Thank you.
From last week, you were here with my colleague Josh Bassoon. I'll see if I could do as good as a job as Josh has done last week. So we welcomed you back because we got so much great fanfare last week about your presence, about personal financial planning. This week, what I really would like to talk about is really kind of focus on the engine that drives the Canadian economy, which is small business owners. So maybe if you could elaborate, because I think a big part of your business deals with small business owners. So what do you do with regards to small business owners?
So it's interesting. So I work with small business owners, and particularly one of the things I do is I do exit planning. And a lot of times you hear the name exit plan and people think, well, I'm not exiting anything. And I kind of joke and say, well, you're exiting one way or the other, either dead or alive. It's just a matter of timing. When I sit with business owners, there's a two-part component. There's a one-part component is the financial planning aspect of it. And that's where we look at your personal finances, your assets, your how much comes in, how much salary, dividends you put from your business, and we look at that. The other component is the component where I look at your business aspect. Now I look at it as exit planning, and I use what's called a value acceleration method.
Okay.
So what this does is I look at your business, and when I say exit planning, let's create context for that, because I think you're always exiting your business. You could just start today as an individual, and you do everything, right? You're mopping, you're sweeping, you're delivering, you're
exactly
everything.
Yeah.
And at some point, the hope is that you exit from there, doing the employee stuff, to become a manager, right? And then over time, you exit from a manager, and ultimately, you want to become the CEO, right? So you have the CEO, now you're in charge of the manager, and you have the employees. And then from the manager, from the CEO, you want to exit and become the board.
Okay.
Right? So now you have somebody that's completely running the business from the board. From the board, you're not even on the board, you leave from there, and then you become the investor.
Okay.
And then ultimately you move from an investor and you go to selling.
Okay.
Right? So it's interesting that a lot of people jump into business without no exit plan. So when I sit and I work with business owners, I go, let's look at your personal situation, and then wherever the gap is, let's see how we could have your business fill that gap.
Okay.
And then filling that gap, we look at the different stages based on where you are, and we establish where you need to go in filling that gap.
Now, is this a concept that you think many business owners are aware of? Or because I'm listening to it now, and I'm also thinking of it from my standpoint in terms of where I am in my business as I'm graduating to kind of the next phase. Is this a concept that small business owners are well aware of?
Most aren't. And it's unfortunate because usually, and if they are aware of it, a lot of times what happens is they don't take action until something happens. So they have a spouse that gets sick, or they themselves get sick, or a key member, leaves the business, and the business becomes too much. And at that point, something is usually a triggering event, if you will, that causes them to think, do I want to continue doing this? Or maybe I don't want to continue, but what if something worse were to happen? What am I going to do, or what can I put in place to make sure that I am taken care of, my business is taken care of, and also my family, not even from a financial, but even from an emotional standpoint, we're taken care of.
So succession planning is going to be really important in that particular concept.
100%.
So I think what you're kind of describing is succession planning. So how do you introduce kind of the process to succession planning?
So the way I look at it is you have exit planning, and then succession planning is something that kind of tucks in on the exit planning. Exit planning is moving from different stages, ultimately selling your business. The succession planning aspect of it is this is a perfect way. And again, small business owner. Sometimes you just one or two people could be making multiple six figures, right? So I have a client now, multiple six figures, just two of them, they're running the business doing quite well. This is how we start off. You start off by saying, let's create an org chart. Let's list all the things you're doing. Create an org chart. So let's make it basic. CEO, you're going to probably have operations. You're probably going to have finance, and you have sales and marketing.
Yes.
3. Let's list everything that these individuals, so everything you do, let's put it in. We'll put it all in an org chart. And then the way I look at it is, okay, And this is great for scaling your business. It's also great for expanding your business. It's also good for a succession plan.
Yes.
And we go, list all the responsibilities. And then we say, you do all these things. Which one do you want to convey, or which one would you want to start working on that if you were unable to work tomorrow, you'd have somebody take this over?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then what we do is we have them list the responsibilities and we record it. We start have standards of procedures.
Okay.
It's called SOP, standard procedures, and we list that in place. And then over time, as you start to grow, so I know I'm doing the succession planning, but I'm also kind of tucking in the what businesses should be thinking of.
Yep.
And over time, as you grow, you may be responsible for a particular thing. And you say, okay, there are other individuals who I want to take over this role. So where the succession planning aspect comes in. We will have people who want to successfully take over different roles. And then it's with the standards and procedures in place, show this and this procedures to those individuals, and we start to train them on these different roles for them to take over, either currently or as a plan B.
Okay. So is that kind of a similar type of concept to like key person, kind of identifying a key person, or if something was to happen to the CEO or the president, who's going to take care, who's going to replace them? Is that kind of thing
100%.
that you think?
So from a key person standpoint, absolutely, because you have individuals where if they leave,
the business goes, right?
implodes,
Exactly.
So there is an aspect of that. There's also an aspect of that where we often take it for granted that, okay, this is a simple role. We probably don't need to go for that.
Yeah.
Until we go to hire, and then we go to hire, we bring someone in, and then what we see happen, this person is like, why can't they do the role? They were smart. They were good in the interview. But quite frankly, we haven't prepared them for success because we haven't listed everything, and we don't give them the opportunity to look at what it is exactly that they're going to do. Now with succession planning, especially, I'll kind of bring that in. Usually it's a more mature business, generally think about succession planning. And what you want to do is either a plan B, or sometimes what you're doing is you're transitioning that business over. Either you're taking a background, or you probably have family members you want to bring into the business, or quite frankly, you're selling to employees, whatever that is we're looking at somebody succeeding us, taking over wherever we are.
So what would be some key factors to, that we're looking for in a successor in terms of taking over the business? Because a lot of times people are thinking, you know what, my daughters are going to take over the business, and we've never spoken to your kids or to your daughters about it, and maybe they're not ready.
So the first thing is, again, documenting what needs to be done. I think that's important, and identifying the skill set that's required. And then you look at an individual who's going to take over this role and see if they have the skill set. Okay. Right? And there are just plain skill set stuff. There are also a lot of different tests to see which roles, certain skill sets. So, there you have DISC, you have Kobe, you have all these different things to help you identify that. At one level, and at other level is do a trial. Have the person, so I've trained advisors. I'm pretty sure you've trained advisors too, right? Yeah. So for example, when I used to train advisors, I would go in, they watch me do the entire presentation, right? After a while, I do half, they do half, right? And then by the end of it, they do the full thing, I do the close. Over time, they're off. And it's point where, okay, Anthony, I don't need you on this appointment. I'm good, and they're off. If there might be tweaks in between and there's consultation, well, it really is sort of the same process where you bring that individual in and you have them see what you're doing. Over time, have them take over certain responsibilities. If there are gaps, then we figure out how to fill those gaps. And what we could do is either yourself training them. If it's a family situation, sometimes having dad there might be a little bit of So you want to bring somebody in as a buffer to assist that individual to take over the role.
Excellent. Another aspect that I get a lot is that people think that, an RSP, a TFSA, everyone should have one of them. But when it comes to business owners, the bulk of their assets, right? The bulk of their retirement nest egg is the business. Yes. So you've talked about exit planning. So how do we unleash that nest egg so that they could retire, with a great standard of living?
Okay, so It's a broad, so I'll kind of tackle it as much.
I've asked you such a complicated question so that you could give me like a 2-second answer, and I know it's not so easy.
Let's talk. Okay, so let's talk about the first one could be. Let's talk about selling, and let's talk about transition in the business, right?
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, it was selling part of it. 80% of business that go for sale never get sold, right? Not because they're making money, because quite frankly, if you're making money, that's why you sell your business. You go, hey, I'm making money. You should purchase this thing.
Yeah.
They have not structured their business in a way to be prepared for sale, which is where exit planning comes in again, because you want to have at least 1 to 3 years, and you want to structure that business, stage the business, if you will. So I remember before I had a home, and I staged the house, and we staged the home, and when I came in, I was like, why am I selling this again?
It looks so nice.
Exactly. It's like, this is what I thought it should have been, and now I want to sell it. So it exactly is like that. It's almost like staging the business, having everything ready, where an individual comes, you could essentially say, here's the key, and you're checking all the boxes, and to make sure, for one, that the value, because remember we did the financial plan, and we know that we need, I don't know, 1.5, 2.5, 10 million, whatever it is, we need that from the business. So we make sure we focus on the business itself, such that the value increases to the point that we get there. So we are going to be creating a plan where we go in and stage the business, if you will, to increase the value of the business. That way, it serves the business purpose that somebody will purchase it. That way, that you're able to pull from that business, whatever you get after the lifetime gains exemption.
Right? Which is a key component. So people 100%. Kind of forget about that, whereby when you sell your business, right, especially if it's a corporation, the first $1 million?
Yeah, I think it just got raised to
1.25.
1.25.
Is basically tax-free.
Yeah.
Right? We're already overtaxed. This is one of the rare things that the government gives to small business. But you've got, like you said, you've got to prepare the business. You've got to stage it properly in order to be able to take advantage of that. 100%. Right? Yeah.
And then the other way I'll talk quickly about this is the transition part of it, where if you have a growing business, what you could do is call it estate freeze.
Yes.
Where you essentially freeze the value of the business, and you know exactly what the taxation aspect of that looks like, and you bring your family in, and all growth in the business now is transferred over to the next generation. Time won't allow us to go into the details of that, but to understand that that is a strategy, and you could still remain in the business, and you still get dividends, you still have voting rights, you still have control. But what you've effectively done is at least you've frozen what potentially could be, high taxes you could pay in the future. You've frozen what that tax liability will be, and it's also an opportunity for your kids to come in now, enjoy the growth, and also you have some runway to help your kids succeed and provide them with the tools they need to grow the business.
Excellent. So much to say. There's so much opportunities for small business owners. If you could, what would we think would be kind of the most important thing to get in place or to get started, so that way they're prepared for either the succession planning or the exit plan?
My bias is, my recommendation with my bias is obviously work with a financial planner, but also work with a certified exit planning advisor.
Oh, okay.
Now that designation is not in Canada, it's actually an American designation, but there are quite a few of financial planners that are now having this designation. And a lot of times we work in tandem. So sometimes I'll work with a certified exit planning advisor, and they could, sometimes they work on consultant basis, sometimes they work as business brokers or business valuators. I myself, I'm both financial planner and a certified exit planning advisor. And the reason is, I'll make it simple like this. If you sit, your financial planner, you sit with an individual, you go, what's the value of your portfolio? They 2 seconds later pull out the statements, or we log in, it's 1.5, oh, it's $500,000, oh, it's, because that is the biggest part of their wealth, right? Investment portion of it. Well, think of it from an asset portion from a business. You go, what's the value of your business?
Don't know.
I know how much comes in. What's the value of your business, right? So an exit planning advisor would assist with that. So I think it is something that all business owners should continue doing. Work with a financial planner and an exit planner to really, at a minimum, if you're not going to move forward a plan, at least book some time to say, these are the things that I should look out for. And once I start getting bigger, then, we could go and do a full-blown plan.
Excellent. Facet. We could go on forever. I've learned a great deal, especially that last designation that I wasn't aware of. And this is one of the best things about doing these type of podcasts is that you're continuously learning and learning about more stuff. The small business world, which is 80%, I would say, of the kind of our GDP comes from small business owners, and we spend a very small time, assisting these individuals. So I would love to have you back again more, because we could go on. So if there's one thing that I got from this session is that you need a plan. You need to sit with someone like Anthony and other professionals in this particular marketplace to assist you to reach your particular goal. So thank you, Anthony, for joining us 2 weeks in a row. And this is the end of this week's podcast. So please subscribe, like, and follow us on Tomachek, and hopefully we will definitely have something of interest to you. Bye for now.